Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, April the 8th. We got a 7-game slate for Thursday night. We're going to break down the slate team by team like we always do. We're going to go through each game, talk about each team. I'll give you guys my early thoughts. What does stand out to me looking at the slate the night before. Just before we do get started with the breakdown though, guys, I'd appreciate it if you hit that like button down below. Be sure to click that subscribe button as well, and click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. And you also get notified every time I do live stream. Wasn't able to stream on Wednesday, but I will definitely be back Thursday afternoon for a stream. We do have a little bit of a later lock, so I'll probably be live a little bit later than normal, around 4:30, 5 o'clock Eastern time. So check my YouTube channel then. I'll most likely be live talking through this slate with you guys, answering all your questions in the live stream. So yeah, tune into that. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. And let's go ahead and take a look at Thursday's slate. We'll start off with the Lakers and Heat game. First game on the night. On the Lakers side, I don't really see a ton I like from LA. We obviously know LeBron and AD are both going to remain out. Kyle Kuzma is probable. He's expected to play. Andre Drummond, I believe, is actually questionable, though, or he's probable as well. So Andre Drummond is expected back. We don't exactly know what kind of minutes limit or if he's going to be on a minutes limit. They said in his debut against Milwaukee that he was not on a minutes limit. He played 14 minutes before he wound up getting hurt. 6,500 for Drummond is super cheap if he's going to be able to play, around 30, 32 minutes. Like, if he can get 30 or more minutes, I have a lot of interest in Andre Drummond, and I think he is my favorite piece from the Lakers today. He's the guy that I have the most interest in. No interest in Harrell, though. Really, outside of Kuzma, Schroeder, and Drummond, I'm probably not considering anyone else on this Lakers team. I know, Marc Gasol's been playing really well, but obviously with Drummond coming back, Marc Gasol's going to lose a lot of minutes, so yeah, he might not even be in the rotation. I'm pretty sure the plan was he wasn't even going to be in the rotation when Drummond played, but obviously Drummond got hurt, so Gasol wound up getting minutes then. There's a chance, Gasol doesn't even play and that Harrell's just like the backup to Drummond. The only thing that worries me is that, I don't think they're going to play Drummond 36 minutes a night, because if they do that, that means that Harrell's only going to play 12 minutes, and they're not giving Montrezl Harrell 12 minutes. They're not going to play them alongside each other either, so I think we're probably going to get a 28-20 split between Drummond and Harrell. We'll see. I guess if I had to play anyone on this Lakers team, it would be Drummond. If he does get around 30 minutes, he should be able to pay off this pretty cheap price point. But yeah, outside of him, not much else. Kuzma, Schroeder are fine, but they're not really top plays for me today. Now on the Miami side, look at the Heat here. There really isn't much I like on Miami. This is a team that I really haven't been rostering much of lately. I haven't played any Heat guys, and it feels like, weeks now that I haven't played any Heat guys. Just with Butler, Bam, Oladipo all healthy. Butler at 9K, in my opinion, he's just overpriced. He's not a guy we have to pay 9K for, and we've kind of seen that. I know Jimmy Butler still has plenty of upside, but, out of his last 10 games, he only has one game over 50 fantasy points. Just don't think we need to pay 9K for Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo, kind of the same thing could be said for him. Now, he did have a really good game last game against Memphis. We know Bam still has a ton of upside, but there are other centers I prefer today. I don't think I'm really going to go to Bam. Oladipo, I don't have much interest in. He's not been great since coming to Miami. He really hasn't done anything in terms of DFS. He's just too expensive. So, yeah, I really don't like much on this, on this Miami team. Just not a team I really expect to have exposure to at all. Overall, this game really not that appealing. Drummond for me is in play depending on what his minutes are going to look like, but outside of him, I don't see much here. So next game, Chicago and Toronto. Looking at the Bulls side here, Zach LaVine, I believe, is probable. He is expected to play. Yeah, he's probable. Lauri Markkanen, I believe, is also probable. Yeah, Markkanen's probable, and I'm pretty sure Kobe White is probable as well. So Markkanen, LaVine, and White, although they're listed as questionable on DK, they're expected to play. They're probable. So with this Bulls team basically fully healthy, Daniel Tice is back for today. I don't really see too much I like here. Everyone feels, their price points feel about right. Zach LaVine last slate was 7,800, which felt super cheap. But, again, he really wasn't good for his price tag. We just haven't seen LaVine have a good game in a while. I think that, Nikola Vucevic being on the team now has definitely hurt LaVine in his terms of his fantasy upside. I just don't know if we, are going to get more. I don't think it's going to be, very often that we get, 50, 55-point games from LaVine, whereas before Vooch was on the team, LaVine was putting that up, it seemed like almost every night, just about. I don't know if I really want to go to anyone on this Bulls team. Thad Young's been starting recently and been playing really well. Thad Young's always been a productive player when he gets minutes, but I think Daniel Tice coming back, that's probably going to take some minutes away from Thad Young. He's 6,300 as well. His price tag's coming up. Like, I just don't see much I like on the Bulls today. Now, on the Toronto side, it's a lot different. This is definitely a team I have interest in. We already know that VanVleet and Lowry are once again going to be out today. So Pascal Siakam at 8,500, I think looks like a very good option here. I think I'd rather have like Siakam over Bam today. Siakam's one of the centers that I do prefer over a guy like Bam. We obviously know that, without Lowry, without VanVleet, Siakam should be very productive when he's on the floor. I know he really hasn't had any good games over his last two, but he's going to play a ton of minutes. He played 41 minutes last game. He's going to play close to 40 minutes today if it's a close game. He didn't even shoot the ball that well last game. 33% from the field, 0 for 6 from 3, and he still had 44 DK points. Like, we know Siakam can rebound. He can get assists. He can, get defensive stats. He's just a guy that can go out there and stuff the stat sheet, and his upside is just, it's way higher when you take two high usage players like VanVleet and Lowry off the floor. So I really like Pascal Siakam once again. I think he's a very strong play today. OG Anunoby I have some interest in. I'm not as confident in him. Obviously last game he got ejected in 10 minutes. Don't really look too much into that, but without Lowry, without VanVleet, I also expect OG to be more productive. Now at 7K, he feels he feels appropriately priced, whereas Siakam I still feel like is a little bit too cheap. Siakam should be like closer to 9,500. Like, he should definitely be over 9K right now. Siakam, in my opinion, is still a little bit too cheap, whereas OG feels about, his price tag feels about right. I think the same could be said for Gary Trent. His price feels about right as well. We've seen him come back down to earth these last two games after he put up 2 straight over 40 DK points. He's come back down to earth, 22, 19 DK points over his last 2 games. Gary Trent also has more upside without VanVleet and without Lowry, but 6,300, he's another guy that just feels, appropriately priced. He's up there with like OG in terms of, I have interest in OG, I have interest in Trent, but I don't think they're as much of priorities as Siakam is. Boucher started last game. He's been starting recently, played 33 minutes. He was pretty productive, had 33 DK points. The minutes can fluctuate from game to game when it comes to a guy like Boucher, but if he's going to continue to start and play 30-plus minutes, at 5,700, I would say he's probably like my third favorite Raptor today behind Siakam and behind Malachi Flynn. Malachi Flynn I like a lot. Once again, 4,700 on DK. I know the price tag's starting to get up there, but he's just been really productive without Lowry and VanVleet. We've seen him play 30-plus minutes in 3 straight games. I'm pretty sure he started the second half in place of OG. Now, obviously, he'll probably, be back on the bench today. He'll probably come off the bench again, but still played over 30 minutes, and I expect around 30 minutes from Malachi Flynn here. He's been productive as well. He's a guy that has shown he can be productive when Lowry and VanVleet are off the floor. 33, 43, 33 DK points. Like, I think all the projection sites are going to have Malachi Flynn projected for like 30 minutes and probably close to 30 DK points, which still makes him a very good option at 4,700. I like Malachi Flynn a lot still. He's still affordable on Yahoo. I know the price tag came up over there as well, but I still have a lot of interest in Malachi Flynn today. And then DeAndre Bembry, I think we can also look to go to. He has started the last 2 games in place of VanVleet, has played 30 and 32 minutes, been productive, 35, 31 DK points. I think at 3,800, we don't have a ton of standout value right now, but DeAndre Bembry, if you're looking for a guy under 4K, I think he is one of the better options. So there's a lot to like from this Raptors team. I would say my favorite targets are definitely Siakam number 1, Flynn number 2, Bembry 3, Boucher 4, and then OG, Trent, I think are viable too. But those 4 guys I have the most interest in from this team. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game, Cleveland and OKC. Now in Cleveland today, there really isn't much that stands out on the Cleveland side. Kevin Love without Larry Nance and without Jared Allen, should be productive when he's out there. He did get up to 26 minutes last game. I would expect Kevin Love to be productive with this Cleveland team just because he's a high usage guy. He is someone that has shown he can be productive when he's on the floor, and obviously, it's not like he's having to play alongside LeBron anymore. Like, I do expect Kevin Love to average probably like 1.1 to 1.2 fantasy points per minute when he's on the floor. Just the big question is how many minutes he's going to play. So since coming back from injury, he's played 20, 23, and 26 minutes. It looks like that San Antonio game, they did win by 24. I'm not exactly sure if Love lost minutes in that game due to blowout or not, but if we can get around 30 minutes from Kevin Love, like, I think he's actually viable at 5,800. He has upside for sure if he's going to, get anywhere near 30 minutes. He's kind of like Andre Drummond for me in terms of I like his upside at his price. It's just a matter of how many minutes will he play. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of minutes restriction Love's going to be on, if any. But outside of Kevin Love, like, I really don't have much interest in this Cleveland team. Just not a team I really want to be rostering today, or rostering guys from, I should say. But on the OKC side, it's kind of the same thing here for OKC. We know SGA, Horford, Baisley, Roby, Dort, Miller, Muscala going to remain out, but they still have like 9 or 10 bodies. It's not like this OKC team is as shorthanded as they were before. If I had to play anyone on the Thunder today, it probably would be Poku. Poku did have a really good game Wednesday night. This is a back-to-back for the Thunder. I would assume that everyone, is going to play here, but do keep an eye on that. Don't know if they've updated the game log yet. Okay, so they did. So Poku played 33 minutes Wednesday night against Charlotte. Had 38 fantasy points, one of his better games of the season, I believe. If I had to play anyone on this OKC team, I think it would be Poku. But Moses Brown, Svi, Theo Maledon, they all feel about appropriately priced. I'm not sure what Theo Maledon did Wednesday night. He 36 minutes, 38 fantasy points, so he was actually pretty good. Kendrick Williams, I know, started again. He played 34 minutes, had 37 fantasy points. So these guys actually did do pretty well Wednesday night. I didn't play any Thunder Wednesday slate. I was really focused on the Pacers because obviously they were a team we wanted to target. I didn't go to Kendrick Williams or Theo Maledon or Poku on Wednesday night, but they all had really good games. They're still pretty affordable, at least on Yahoo they are. Kendrick Williams is still $12. Theo Maledon's $16, Poku $17. I don't mind these guys. I think there's other plays I prefer, but, Poku, Maledon, Williams, I think are all viable. I don't know if any of them are, top plays for me, but definitely viable on this slate for sure. But outside of those three, I don't see a ton that stands out from OKC. So moving on to the next game, Milwaukee and Dallas. So I think this is the clear just game to target, especially on the Milwaukee side today, because we already know that Giannis is doubtful. He is not expected to play. He was probable for their last game on Tuesday, and then he wound up getting ruled out, which is very unexpected. They've already ruled him as doubtful today. So with Giannis not expected to play, we know the big beneficiaries here. Two guys that really are going to benefit are Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton, and I love both guys. I think they're still a little bit too cheap on both sides. $8,100 for Jrue, $7,800 for Middleton. And on Yahoo, you got Jrue coming in at $34. You got Middleton coming in at $34 as well. Love both these guys today. I mean, without Giannis, Jrue should be $9K. Middleton should be closer to $9K. These guys are still way underpriced for Giannis being out today. I know, without Giannis last game against the Warriors, Jrue didn't have that good of a game, only 40 DK points in 34 minutes. But I'm not looking into that. We know, the upside is massive for Jrue without Giannis. He had a huge game against Sacramento when Giannis was out. I think Giannis might have missed another game, and Jrue had a really big game. It's clear here. Whenever Giannis is out, you just play Jrue, you play Chris Middleton, and you kind of move on. At least when they're priced where they are, which, with them being priced where they are right now, I think these guys are, two of the best plays on the slate. I don't really need to tell you that. We know they're going to dominate the usage. We know they're going to play a ton of minutes. Love both Jrue and Chris Middleton today. Dante DiVincenzo, though, you can also look to. He really benefits without Giannis. Should be a little bit more productive. Should play around 30 minutes. Now, he's not going to play 36, 38 minutes like Jrue and Middleton will, but you'll still get around 30 minutes from DiVincenzo. He's been a point-per-minute player this year with Giannis off the floor. Don't mind him at $5,700. And then Bobby Portis is the guy that I really like as well to go along with Jrue and Middleton. So Bobby Portis did start last game in place of Giannis. We saw them the game before, though. They actually started Pat Connaughton in place of Giannis. I'm assuming, though, since Portis started last game, that Portis will start again. And, as you would expect, he was really productive in his 28 minutes in the starting lineup. Had a double-double, 13 and 13 with one steal, finished with 33 Draftkings points. $5,300 is still too cheap for Bobby Portis if he's going to start and play anywhere near 30 minutes. He's a very productive player when he's on the floor. He's a guy that can do a lot. He can score. He can rebound. He can get blocks as well. Love Bobby Portis here at $5,300. And he's also super cheap on Yahoo. At center, looks like one of the better center plays overall today at only $14. Just love Jrue, love Middleton, love Bobby Portis. I think all three guys are great plays today. Now, Brook Lopez, I'm not as interested in. Brook Lopez just hasn't really been a guy I've rostered much. I don't even think I've rostered Brook Lopez once this season. Just really never played Brook Lopez. Just doesn't have a ton of upside. Now, Pat Connaughton, with him going back to the bench last game, Bobby Portis started ahead of him. I don't have much interest in Pat Connaughton unless by some chance he winds up starting this time. But like I said, I assume it's going to be Portis who starts. So yeah, I think my main interests from Milwaukee are definitely Jrue, Middleton, and Portis. But I do have some interest in DiVincenzo. And if Connaughton were to start, you could put him over Portis. But Portis, I think, would still be viable if he comes off the bench. But yeah, I think that does it from the Milwaukee side. Now, looking at the Mavericks here, we do need to talk about this team because it is a back-to-back for the Mavericks, and I'm pretty sure Porzingis lately has been resting on back-to-backs. Now, we don't exactly know if he's going to be in or out for today. Just keep an eye on that. If he were to miss, we'll have to wait and see what they were to do with the starting lineup. I would assume that maybe Boban would start because Maxi Kleber was also out Wednesday. We don't exactly know if he's going to play today. So just keep an eye on this. Porzingis, been resting on back-to-backs lately. There's a chance he maybe sits here, so just monitor that. Assuming he plays, though, I don't see a ton that stands out from Dallas, like Luka, you can always pay up for Luka, but on this slate, I think the mid-range looks really good with guys like Drew and Middleton who could, not saying they will, but they could easily outscore Luka today, and I would not be surprised. So Luka's obviously a good pay-up option, but not someone I'm really going to be running to roster or trying to jam in unless we just get a ton of great value as the day goes on. Same could be said with Porzingis. Overall, I don't really like much from Dallas. Nikola Melli did start Wednesday in place of Kleber. I'm not exactly sure what he did. Let's see. So Melli played 23 minutes but only had 5 fantasy points. So yeah, I don't think we really want to go to Melli here. So not much stands out from Dallas unless Porzingis were to rest on the back-to-back. Then a guy like Boban could maybe come into play if he were to wind up starting. But we'll just have to wait and see there. So next game, Phoenix and the Clippers. On the Phoenix side, pretty quick here. Like, I really don't like much on the Suns today. If I had to play anyone on Phoenix, it probably would be DeAndre Ayton just because at 6,700, that does still feel a little bit too cheap for him. If he's going to get anywhere near 30, 32 minutes, like he has the upside to pay off this price point. We saw him do it last game against Houston, 46 DK points in 33 minutes. Don't mind Ayton, but Booker, Paul both feel appropriately priced, if not a little bit too expensive. Don't think I'm really going to be going to them or any other Suns. So moving on to the Clippers side, another team I don't have a ton of interest in, like Kawhi and PG, you can always play. I never have a problem with them, but on this slate, like I'd rather play Drew, I'd rather play Middleton over these two Clippers guys. I know PG had a really big game last game, 52 DK points in 34 minutes. Kawhi, on the other hand, he had a really good game as well, 56 DK points in 36 minutes. Like I said, you could go to these two guys, but overall, I don't think they're going to really be priorities for me. I'm fine going to them as like last guys in. Like if I have 9,400 left for my last spot and I can fit Kawhi, I'm fine playing him. If I have 8,200 left for my last spot and I can fit PG, I'm fine with that. But I don't really feel like I'm starting my lineup with these Clippers guys, and I don't think I'm really considering any other Clippers either. Zubac without Ibaka has been starting and playing, anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes, but I don't think I really want to go to him on this slate. He really hasn't been as productive as we would like. We've just seen Kawhi and PG dominating the usage, and I think that's going to continue basically every night. So, yeah, we can go ahead and move on to the next game. Overall, Phoenix and the Clippers should be a good game to watch. Two really good teams, but not a game I really have a ton of interest in for DFS. So next game, Portland and Utah. Portland today, the one important injury to talk about is that Yusuf Nurkic is questionable. Last game with Yusuf Nurkic out, we did see Enes Kanter get big minutes. He played 36 minutes, had 37 Draftkings points. If Yusuf Nurkic is out again, I do really like Enes Kanter here. I thought he was underpriced on the last slate at 6K, and DraftKings barely bumped up his price. He's only 6,100 today. The matchup against Gobert is not great, but Kanter's going to play a ton of minutes if Nurkic is out, so I do really like Kanter if Nurkic is out. Dame and CJ in a tough matchup against the Jazz and, a pace down spot. I don't think either one look like great options here. If I had to play one of the two, I'd probably play CJ just because he's cheaper, but really, I'm just waiting for Kanter news, or for Nurkic news, because if Nurkic is out again, I do really like Enes Kanter. But we can go ahead and move on to the Utah side. Looking at the Jazz here, this is a back-to-back for the Jazz, so that will be something to monitor. Mike Conley, I'm pretty sure, has been resting on like every back-to-back this season. So I would be it seems very likely that Mike Conley will be out today. And if Mike Conley is out, that actually makes me have a decent amount of interest in some of these Utah guys. We know who gets the boost when Conley is out. It's Mitchell, it's Clarkson, and it's Ingles. When you look at the price points, I think Clarkson's the guy that I like the most at 5,800. He does look like a very appealing option here if Conley were to sit. We know the minutes are going to increase for Jordan Clarkson if Conley's out. He should be slightly more productive as well. We've seen Clarkson have really good games when one of Mitchell or Conley's out, and like I said, it's a back-to-back, so I'm assuming that Conley will probably rest here. So do like Jordan Clarkson if Conley's out. Have some interest in Joe Ingles as well. Bojan would get a little boost, not much, but would get a little boost for me. Mitchell would be a solid pay-up option, but again, like I'd rather play Drew over Mitchell. I'd rather play Middleton over Mitchell. But I do actually like some of these Utah guys since, Conley probably will be out on the back-to-back. That makes me have interest in Mitchell, Clarkson, Ingles, and maybe Bojan. I know Bojan's been really cheap on Yahoo lately. What's his price today? Let's see. Yeah, he's still pretty cheap at $14. Ingles is only $16 though, so I'd probably rather just play Ingles. But yeah, you could go to Bojan, I guess, if Conley sits. But we can go ahead and talk about the last game on the night, Detroit and Sacramento. So on Detroit today, this is actually somewhat of an appealing team just because the matchup here is really good against Sacramento, and also we do know that Jeremy Grant is going to be out for today. So with Jeremy Grant out, that does impact a lot, obviously, because Jeremy Grant, we know, plays a ton of minutes. He's also their highest usage player. I really don't know who's going to start in place of Jeremy Grant. Like, they could do a lot of things here. They could slide Sadiq Bey down to power forward and start, like, They could start Hamidou Diallo and slide Bay down to power forward. They could start Sekou in place of Grant, which is something they've done whenever Grant's missed games. But now they have Hamidou Diallo. Like, maybe Hamidou Diallo starts. I think regardless, though, Hamidou Diallo is one of the guys that should see a pretty big increase in minutes with Jeremy Grant off the floor. And obviously getting Grant off the floor, their highest usage player, is going to allow for a guy like Hamidou Diallo to get more usage. And this is someone that has shown, at least with this Detroit team, he can be productive when he does get the minutes now. Over his last 3, he's had 2 bad games against the Knicks and against Denver, but really good matchup here against Sacramento. No Jeremy Grant, 5,100, very affordable price point. I do really like Hamidou Diallo today. I think he's my main target from Detroit, but without Jeremy Grant, there's a lot to like here. I think Josh Jackson also benefits. We've seen Josh Jackson be able to be productive when he gets minutes. The minutes have fluctuated for him, but I think no Jeremy Grant should solidify him for relatively, close to 30 minutes or closer to 30 minutes. Saddiq Bey, I think, also gets a boost without Jeremy Grant. He should be more productive, should be locked in for pretty big minutes. The one thing I don't like about this Detroit team is that they do just run a super deep rotation. Like, basically everyone that's active is going to play. Like, they're going to give a ton of guys minutes. Like, nobody's going to play massive minutes, but I think you will get probably around 30 minutes from Diallo, probably around 30 minutes from Jackson and Bey, and those are guys I do have interest in today for sure. We'll have to wait and see who starts. Whichever guy starts, like if Diallo starts, that makes me like him even more. If Sekou were to start, you can maybe go to him. He's minimum salary. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. There are some interesting plays here, though, from Detroit with, Jeremy Grant out today. And also, given it's a really good matchup against Sacramento. But on the Sacramento side, not as much stands out here. I think De'Aaron Fox in tournaments you can definitely look to. Now, on this slate, I don't think De'Aaron Fox is really someone I'm building around or starting my lineup with. But, he's one of those guys I'm fine using as a last piece in. Rashawn Holmes, really good matchup against Detroit. We know Detroit's been killed by centers this year. Holmes had a really good game against Detroit earlier this season. You could go to him in tournaments. He's going to be super, super low owned, especially with how poorly he's been playing lately. But I don't mind him. But I think Fox is probably the one guy I like from Sacramento. Outside of Fox, I don't see too much else that stands out from this Kings team. So that does it for all 7 games tonight, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. Be sure to click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload, and you also get notified every time I do live stream. But again, guys, good luck on this slate. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.